Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds, owner of Mint Mobile, with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
New activation and upfront payment for 3-month plan required. Taxes and fees extra. Additional restrictions apply. See mintmobile.com for full terms.
'Tis the season to shine with H&M. Discover the holiday collection and find fashionable pieces for your wardrobe or for under the tree. Get inspired and dazzle with this year's glam. From tuxedo styles, bow detailed pieces, impressive prints, and more. From unforgettable looks to unforgettable gifts. With fashion finds to home decor, find it all at H&M. Treat your loved ones and yourself this season. Shop in-store or at hm.com. 'Tis the season to shine with H&M. Discover the holiday collection and find fashionable pieces for your wardrobe or for under the tree. Get inspired and dazzle with this year's glam. From tuxedo styles, bow detailed pieces, impressive prints, and more. From unforgettable looks to unforgettable gifts. With fashion finds to home decor, find it all at H&M. Treat your loved ones and yourself this season. Shop in-store or at hm.com.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Selling a little or a lot? Do your thing however you cha-ching with Shopify, the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. Shopify helps you turn browsers into buyers with the internet's best converting checkout. 36% better on average compared to other leading commerce platforms. Get a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/offer23.
So step outside of your comfort zone and hire somebody who does. Because going on the internet, that could only take you so far. Reading a book could only take you so far. Actually implementing these skills and having a guide to go ahead and walk you through them, that right there, my friend, that right there creates change. Because you have somebody that's going to call your ass out and is going to challenge you both. Somebody that does not take sides. Somebody that's able to go ahead and see the BS and go ahead and help you come to terms with it. Hey girl, imagine a life where you feel supported, connected, and understood. I get it. Being a mom is hard, especially when you're spinning so many plates. We exhaust ourselves trying to create the perfect life for our family. You deserve to enjoy your family without the stress perfectionism brings. On this podcast, I provide practical and relatable life experiences. I teach women quick and easy to use strategies to help them reclaim their identity, reignite their marriage, and enjoy their children. If you're ready to be challenged, then pull up a chair, grab pen and paper, because it's about to go down. I'm Veronica Cisneros, a licensed marriage and family therapist, and this is the Empowered and Unapologetic Podcast. For whatever reason, we continue to have the same argument. He's constantly reminding me that I can be a better parent. He's constantly reminding me that the dishes, the house can be cleaner. It just feels like we're having this argument over and over. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely love my husband. He's great. We're great. But I know things could be better. I struggle because I definitely want to go ahead and get us to a better place. But there are times where I feel like I'm just doing this all by myself. I feel as if I'm the one carrying the weight in our relationship. I'm the one wanting change. I'm the one ready to go ahead and take that next step. And I really wish he would do the same thing. It kind of feels like I'm carrying all of the weight, and he is constantly telling me all of the things I could do better. How did we get to this point where we're both against each other? How did we get to this point where we're not able to even have a conversation without it blowing up? One question is, I guess I'm asking, how did I lose my best friend? And I get it. Yes, I can do a better job at cleaning up the house. But the reality is I'm exhausted. And I know there are areas where I need to work on myself because I definitely have, issues. And I just want to be seen by my partner instead of being looked at as this negative person that's always being compared to my past. I want to make sure that he hears me, that he sees me, that we can both connect. But one thing that comes up in our relationship over and over is the arguing. And it feels like it's the same problem over and over. And for whatever reason, he might not just flat out say it, but I do. I feel like he blames me. He blames me for whatever the reason is. And I wish he would take more responsibility. I wish that it wasn't me being constantly accountable. So I guess, Veronica, my question to you is, what advice would you give to a couple that argues all the time? So I got to say, I'm very, very thankful for this question for so many reasons. I can understand that arguments come, and I'm going to be honest with you. We're all going to argue. Me and my husband argue, and it's just something that happens. And I'm going to tell you right now, whether you're in therapy, whether you're marital coaching, it's something that's going to continue to happen. And so I hope that you can take this deep breath and release it, because arguments in a relationship are definitely going to happen. However, 69% of our arguments are perpetual. 31% of our arguments are solvable. And so what do you mean, Veronica, by perpetual arguments? Well, what I mean is these perpetual arguments, by definition, right? A perpetual argument is something that we're never going to solve. It is unsolvable. They are literally rooted, Gottman says, they are rooted in differences in personality styles, beliefs, and values. And what I find with working with couples, that a good amount of perpetual arguments, a good amount of the arguments you have over and over again are because you haven't realized that this is an argument that you're not going to be able to solve. You're not going to solve it. And one thing I often get from couples, especially, I'll get it from either women or men, but I'll get it from couples either way. What they'll say is, Veronica, I'm totally down to solve this problem. I'm ready to solve it. I wish he was. And this isn't a perpetual problem. This is an actual problem we can heal from. We could totally heal from it if he was to see it in my way. If he was to develop this better understanding of, what the actual issue is, then we'd be able to solve it. And my answer is that's not true. If it's a perpetual problem to him, then it's a perpetual problem altogether. And being able to tell the difference between a solvable and perpetual problem I get painful and frustrating, but it is also it's so relieving. And it's so relieving because you'll both be able to realize this is an argument we're going to have for the rest of our lives. Lucky us. But the way we argue is going to be different because we're not going to be in this tug of war trying to go ahead and, convince the other partner that we're right, or talking without any headway, or, making your partner the enemy. Instead, you'll be able to realize, wait a minute, this is a problem we're going to have for the rest of our life. How are we stuck in what Gottman calls gridlock? How are we stuck in this perpetual problem that becomes so damaging to the relationship? It stays stuck, right? And so that's what I really want you to be able to do. Is this a perpetual problem? Is this something that you're going to have for the rest of your life? And if you are going to have this problem for the rest of your life, what exactly is keeping you so stuck in your stance to convince your partner to go ahead and do what you're doing or have the same values or see it your way? What keeps you so stuck? Because that right there, my friend, is what you need to work on. That is definitely what you need to work on. Now, a solvable problem, by definition, it tends to be again, by definition, via Gottman, it tends to be situational in nature and are often tied to specific circumstances where a solution to the problem is possible. Once solvable problems are resolved, you can move forward, right? And you feel that sense of peace. You're able to go out and attack the problem together, establish some problem-solving steps, and then execute them. And that's what makes it easy. However, your question is, Veronica, what advice would you give a couple that argues all the time? Well, like I said, your first step is to identify if this is a perpetual or a solvable problem. And I want you to think about, like, why is this so important? Why is it so important that you either win this argument or your partner sees it your way? And I really want you to ask yourself this question, because a lot of us get super stuck in trying to go ahead and, I don't want to say manipulate, but I'm going to call you out. Yes, it's manipulation. A lot of us get so stuck in proving your partner wrong and getting them to see it your way that it just limits your ability to truly connect. It completely limits your ability to truly connect and move forward. And so, Veronica, why is this a problem? Why is it a problem if we aren't able to identify what a perpetual problem is and what a solvable problem is? Well, it's a problem because then the four horsemen show up: contempt, stonewalling, criticism, and defensiveness. And those right there, Gottman calls the four, oh my gosh, what is the word? The four horsemen of the apocalypse. That right there, the minute you continue to follow these unhealthy patterns, I'm going to tell you right now, believe it or not, but you are on that path towards the demise of the relationship. And so that's where most of these relationships go. They continue to have the same problems and they're like, but Veronica, I'm in a good place. And it's like, yeah, high five. You are in a good place. But you keep on having these arguments, and some of them are explosive and some of them end with avoidance. But you're not necessarily resolving that unhealthy, dysfunctional pattern of disconnection. And if you find yourself in that mode where, you know what, it's not that big of a deal, we'll be fine, we'll just let some days blow over, then I want to caution you, because it's kind of like playing Russian roulette with your marriage. And I'm not about that. I'm not about that all of the time. I'm not about that any of the time. And like I said, don't get me wrong, you are going to argue, but it's how you're arguing that's really coming in between you and your partner truly connecting.
I know looking for the right therapist can be challenging. However, feeling overwhelmed and disconnected is even harder. Life is filled with several twists and turns, some more severe than others. We do our best to handle them as they come and find ourselves at a loss, not knowing what to do or who to turn to. The clinicians here at Outside the Norm Counseling are here to help. We are here to assist you through this time of need. Together, we will identify your strengths and goals and teach you healthy coping skills. Together, we will develop a plan to help you live the life you want to live. Our team is compassionate, genuine, and we take a great deal of pride in providing an empathetic, non-judgmental approach to all of our clients. It's time. You've waited long enough, whether it be for you, your child, or if you're in need of a couple session. We are highly trained clinicians ready to guide you. Schedule an appointment now by calling 951-395-3288. Again, that number is 951-395-3288. We're looking forward to meeting you and being a part of your journey.
And so let me go ahead and give you an example of a perpetual problem. So a perpetual problem, and you know what? Screw it. I'm going to give you a perpetual problem Willie and I have. And oh my God, I can't believe I'm sharing this with you, but I'm going to share it with you because it's so important for you to learn this. So a perpetual problem Willie and I have over and over is, oh gosh, now I'm trying to think of one. And one was there, but I was like, no, I don't want to share that. I don't want to share it, but I'm going to share it anyway. So here you go. One of the common perpetual problems Willie and I have involve parenting. Oh my gosh. The minute Willie tells me that I work too much and I need to spend more time with the girls, Holy crap, he might as well just stab me in my heart. The minute he says that, I feel as if I'm getting heated right now. I feel as if like I have to defend myself. Like, what the hell do you mean? I need to spend more time with the kids and stop working. I spend all of the time with the kids. Matter of fact, I just had a date night with Aubrey, or I just had a date night with Aaliyah, and we had a really in-depth conversation. And let me go ahead and explain to you or describe to you what the conversation entailed. We had such a good conversation. Her and I were crying. Matter of fact, I just got off the phone with her. Do you hear that defensiveness? That right there, defensiveness. That's one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. But why? Why do I get so heated? Because what I hear Willie tell me is I suck as a mom and I'm no good. And because I suck as a mom and because I'm no good, that it is my fault. And one of the primary reasons it is my fault is because I'm not good enough and I'm unworthy. And the minute I hear any of those things, the minute I hear him say, you need to stop working and spend more time with the kids, that right there is such a huge trigger. Why is it a trigger? Well, it's a trigger because he's basically telling me in my eyes that I'm not a good enough mom. He's basically telling me I suck. Well, at least that's the stories that I built up in my head. And I build up those stories over and over in my head. And then I create all of these thoughts. And I know they're distorted. But because he, the person that I love the most, the person that could hurt me the most, because he is the one saying it, it feels like, I don't even know what the word is. I feel alone. I'm just going to go ahead and give you guys some emotions. I feel alone. I feel inadequate. I feel threatened, exposed. I feel vulnerable. I feel powerless. I feel annoyed, withdrawn. I feel skeptical. I mean, shit, I could go on with all of the feelings that come up for me. And one of the primary reasons why I get so defensive, one of the primary reasons why I become so defensive is because, wait for it, it's an insecurity that is literally exposed. And I can't hide behind it. It is an insecurity that's exposed. And because that insecurity is exposed, I want to fight. I literally want to fight. And I want to make sure I hurt him as much as he's hurt me. And so I'll for damn sure go into contempt, where I'll position myself higher than him. I'll go into criticism where I'm like, psst, where'd you go with Aubrey or Brooklyn or Aaliyah on your date night? And what did you guys talk about? Oh, yeah, that's right. You guys didn't go into in-depth conversation. I would do that. I would totally do that. Veronica, that's awful. Yeah, I know. I know that's awful. But I'll tell you what. Willie and I are definitely able to come back from a good amount of our perpetual arguments where we're able to go ahead and confront the issue. We're able to go ahead and realize that we're stuck in gridlock. And I'm not going to sit here on this like freaking throne and say, oh my God, so I totally have it together. I don't. I'd be lying to you if I said I do. I don't. I'm a therapist and hell to the yes. I'm a therapist and I'm a marriage coach. And me and my husband argue. And me and my husband don't have it all together. And there are times that I struggle with my own insecurities. And I'm open and honest about that because that's life. I'm a human being and I'm 1,000% flawed. I don't want to be flawed. I want to be perfect. I want us to be on good terms all the time. But the reality of that is that's impossible. It is impossible. And so there, right there, my friend, is a perpetual problem. So right now, I want you to stop. And you could pause this episode if you need to. But I want you to stop. And I want you to think about what are the arguments you and your partner constantly have? What is the primary topic? Does it have to do with parenting? Does it have to do with finances? Does it have to do with how clean you are in the house? Whether or not you guys are late. One's on time, the other one's not. Is somebody the spender, somebody the saver? What is the topic? Does it involve spiritual, political, religious views? What is the topic? Identify what that topic is, because that, my friend, exposes an insecurity, or it exposes something that you haven't necessarily healed. And that is what's keeping you guys stuck in gridlock. And it's keeping you stuck in gridlock because, for one, it's a problem you haven't solved. And on top of that, it's exposing all of these emotions that you're not ready to, either you're not ready to work on, or you're not willing to change. And that's okay. That's okay. I'm not asking you to change, and maybe it might feel like your partner's asking you to change, but the reality is, maybe they are. Who knows? But only because they don't know how to also deal with the problem at hand. And this is where you guys might need professional help. And it's okay to say that. Like, it doesn't mean you guys are getting a divorce. It might mean you guys need professional help. Okay, what do we do with that? What do we truly do with that? If we recognize, wait a minute, we might need professional help because we don't know how to repair this. Well, then what do I do? I mean, you're already making this huge step with listening to this podcast, but let's go ahead and take it further. Let's go ahead and do something different. Let's go ahead and go to the next step. And the next step is listen for repairs. Listen for repairs. And don't get me wrong. I'm going to tell you right now, this is so hard. It is so hard because when you're in the heat of the moment, my friend, when you are literally in the heat of the moment, you're ready for war. You're ready for war. You're ready to go ahead and convince that partner why they're wrong. You are ready to go ahead and fight, right? So that your partner experiences the same feeling. Your partner is able to go ahead and understand you more, right? But let's go ahead and get to what is a repair attempt. And I love how Gottman literally phrases it as a repair attempt. What does a repair attempt even look like? So I'm so glad you asked. A repair attempt, and I'm going to tell you right now, this one's not necessarily a successful one, but it's one that Willie uses. And whenever he uses, it definitely fails. It fails over and over. The minute he says, calm down. Calm down. Calm down. You calm down. I am calm. You're telling me to calm down. Why don't you calm down? I'm not the one all stressed out. You're stressed out telling me to calm down. That's definitely not a successful repair. That is not a fair repair attempt. It's not one at all. So being able to identify what things can your partner say to you in the heat of the moment that you'll actually be able to listen to, and it'll kind of like stop you in your tracks. The minute Willie says, calm down, that's not stopping me. That's like somebody literally lit the fire to my ass and I'm ready to go ahead. I don't know if you got the visual, but I did. But literally it's like, we are ready for war. The minute he says, is there any way I can start over again? I said that wrong. Or my part of the problem is, I immediately want to listen. Right now, imagine your husband. Imagine your husband saying, my part of the problem, or my part of this problem is. I'm going to tell you right now, that's a panty dropper. That is 1,000% definitely a panty dropper. It's 1,000% a panty dropper because the minute he says that, I want to hear. I want to listen to what else he has to say. Like, I am ready. I'm ready. I'm like not so reactive. Let me give you another one. Why not? What if he said, I might be wrong here. And let me see if I have this right. Could you imagine your husband saying that statement? Holy shit. Holy shit. Let me try again in a softer way. Or, so what you're saying is, or tell me what you hear me saying right now. What would happen? What would happen if your husband said any of those phrases. Like, I can already hear you say, girl, I would get naked, we would have sex, we would celebrate. Like, these are the things we would do. I would automatically kiss him. I would hug him. I would feel understood. I would let down my guard. I would want to connect. That's what I mean by being able to listen to what Gottman calls repair attempts. How is your partner attempting to repair that argument? Not necessarily solve it. Notice how I didn't say solve it. How is your partner attempting to repair the arguments? And the minute we get there, where you're starting to listen for those repair attempts, that's when you'll notice that the arguments start to shift. There's a shift literally that happens because it's happening in you. The minute you start to let your guard down, your partner starts to let their guard down. And I'm going to tell you right now, ladies, it doesn't have to be your man that says these things. It could be you. It could be 1,000% you. This is you guiding the conversation. And I know it's so hard because we feel like we're always right. But I'm going to tell you right now, and I love you. Oh God, I love you. But I'm going to tell you right now, you're not always right, mama. You ain't. And most of the time, and again, this is with love, so much love. Most of the time, you're a little bit emotional. I'm guilty of it too. I'm so guilty of it too. But you are. This is why you guys continue to have the same argument all the time. Or this is why you might be arguing all the time. Because nobody's listening to understand. Which leads me to my next step. Listen to understand. But Veronica, I don't want to understand. He needs to understand. No, I get it. Listen to understand. But he told me he doesn't know what to do. He told me that he gets so frustrated with the house. Listen to understand. What does a clean house represent to him? What does it represent? What does spending more time with the family represent to him? I'm going to tell you what it represents to my husband. When Willie has told me, or when Willie has shared with me, Veronica, I want you to spend more time with the family and less work. Yes, I get defensive. But I actually asked him, what do you mean that you want me to spend more time with the family? Help me understand. And that's when he started opening up and sharing things that I didn't want to hear. And it was then that I realized the primary reason why I'm not listening to understand, instead coming up with a rebuttal and being defensive, was because I didn't want to hear the truth. I didn't want to hear the truth. Willie has told me and has been open with me about what that time represents to him and what it looks like. In my head, it was if I got work done and I was working while the kids were getting dressed, or if I was working while they were asleep and he didn't wake up to me in bed. He woke up to typing, like literally typing. It was this moment that was missed. A moment that, I got to be honest, I also cherish. I also look forward to. But in so many ways, I'm asking him to sacrifice it because I want to go ahead and get these needs met. And don't get me wrong. Yes, I can meet my own needs. I'm not compromising myself. But now I have a better understanding of what he's asking for. And then I can make the decision on how I want to go ahead and follow through with this. This doesn't mean that I automatically just do whatever the hell he tells me to do. No, and I'm not telling you guys to do whatever the hell your partner tells you to do. I'm not saying any of that. What I'm potentially telling you is, why? What is your part? What is your part in these arguments? And I'm calling you out. If he's on here, I want his ass to do the same thing. What is your part? What is your part in the arguments? What is your part in this perpetual problem? What is your part in the insecurities that you haven't worked on yet? What is your part? Identify that. And then let's start working on it. Because if you think that the relationship is just going to stop argue, that there's going to be no arguments in your relationship, I'm going to tell you right now, you're setting it up to be doomed to fail. I've been married for 23 years. 23 years. Me and him still argue. We still argue and we'll continue to argue, but the way we argue is different. Sure, there are times we get stuck in gridlock. Absolutely. So does everybody else. Me being a therapist doesn't like literally subtract me from the equation of arguments. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And am I going to fail? Yes. Yes, sometimes on purpose, depending on what the topic is. However, I'm aware of it. I want you to be aware of it. And so what I want you to do right now is become familiar with what's yours. What are the issues you're bringing into the relationship? Veronica, you say that all the time. Yeah, because it's important. You want to be married, right? You want to be married for the rest of your life. You want your kids to have mom, bio dad. Awesome. Well, then let's do the work. This is part of the work. And if you've been remarried, let's stop this dysfunctional pattern. Just because you got a new man doesn't mean you have different problems and the problems have changed. No, 69% of our problems, regardless of who we're married to, are perpetual. Understand the difference. Understand the difference. The next step is learn healthy communication skills. Veronica, but I don't know them and he doesn't know them. You're right. You guys don't. So step outside of your comfort zone and hire somebody who does. Hire somebody who does. Because going on the internet, that could only take you so far. Reading a book could only take you so far. Actually implementing these skills and having a guide to go ahead and walk you through them, that right there, my friend, that right there creates change. Because you have somebody that's going to call your ass out and is going to challenge you both. Somebody that does not take sides. Somebody that's able to go ahead and see the BS and go ahead and help you come to terms with it. Instead of it being this tangled path, they're going to provide you with a clear path. Again, recognize the difference. If you're going to marital therapy, if you're going to a marriage coach, that doesn't mean you guys are getting a divorce. It doesn't mean that you aren't going to last. It's kind of like Botox, ladies. It's preventative. It is 1,000% preventative. And that's what we want, right? We want something preventative. I'm going to tell you right now, I have my Botox appointment this Friday. Thank you very much. Preventative. I'm not saying that you have to go get Botox. But what I am saying is taking preventative measures so your relationship doesn't go to that next level. We don't want that. So I'm going to call you out right now. If you find that you are in that relationship right now, you're in that relationship where things aren't necessarily the way you want them to be, right? Or maybe there are changes that need to be made in your relationship. Okay, what do we do? How do we get through this? And I'm really asking you this. How do we get through this? How do we take our relationship to the next level? How do we work on this together? What do we need to do? Is it hiring a professional? I want you to start to go ahead and implement these skills. I definitely want you to do that. That's where we start. But what I'm going to tell you right now is if you're realizing that this is not the end, there's more help that's needed. Okay, mama, let's go ahead and get to work. I'm here. I'm willing to help you. Let's go there. Versus getting stuck in these unhealthy perpetual patterns. Preventative measures are necessary. Okay? And so, how do I get help? Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you asked. Hit me up. Hit me up. You can definitely go on my website, www.outsidethenormcounseling.com, or you can contact my office. You can definitely contact my office. All of the information is there so that you can schedule an appointment, sign up for either marital coaching or marital therapy. We'll help you identify which one you need so that you can go ahead and get it to the next step. Okay, ladies? I'm super excited to work with you, and thank you again for allowing me to be a part of your journey. You are doing amazing. Keep up the good work. We can all use a little help in our marriage, especially when it comes to communicating. I have created a guide just for you. And guess what? It's 100% free. I will give you practical tips and easy to use strategies to apply right now. That's right, right now, today. You all know I'm a huge advocate for you mamas, and I am on a mission to help you experience true connection and stress-free living. Ladies, we are setting our marriages up for success. It starts with you. You will find this freebie here in my show notes or go to empoweredandunapologetic.com/guide. The information I will be providing you is next level, and people pay good money to get these tips that I will be giving you for free. Don't forget to share this with a friend who needs it. What's up, ladies? Just want to let you guys know that your ratings and reviews for this podcast are greatly appreciated. If you love this podcast, please go to iTunes right now, write a review, rate the episode, and subscribe. Don't forget to share it with your friends.
Addiction impacts all of us. Addiction's consequences run through all of us. From ourselves to our loved ones and through our communities, addiction creates so much loss and grief. My name is Dwayne Osterlin, and I'm the host of the Addicted Mind podcast, a show featuring personal stories, expert guests, and vital information about addiction and addiction recovery. We'll talk with leading treatment providers to discuss the latest research and treatment options for this devastating disease and advocate for mental health awareness. We discuss topics like the importance of creating a community of support to helping loved ones to some of the latest research on psychedelic medicines. The Addicted Mind podcast has been about creating hope, listening to stories of many amazing people that have overcome addiction and are thriving. If you or a loved one is struggling with addiction, subscribe to the Addicted Mind podcast wherever you get your podcasts or check out theaddictedmind.com. New episodes every Monday. See you there.
It's easy to blame ourselves for our struggles with alcohol. We see people around us being able to control their drinking without any consequences, yet no matter what we try, we can't seem to figure it out for ourselves. My name is Jillian Teets, and I am the host of the Sober Powered podcast, where I use my biochemistry background to explain the latest research in addiction and help you understand both why you drink the way you do and how to develop the skills and mindset you need to find freedom from alcohol. I discuss topics like why we think about our drinking 24/7, why we have no off switch, and why we crave alcohol. If you're struggling with your drinking or you know someone who is, then I hope that you will check out the Sober Powered podcast. New episodes every Friday. See you there.
Addiction impacts all of us. Addiction's consequences run through all of us. From ourselves to our loved ones and through our communities, addiction creates so much loss and grief. My name is Dwayne Osterlin, and I'm the host of the Addicted Mind podcast, a show featuring personal stories, expert guests, and vital information about addiction and addiction recovery. We'll talk with leading treatment providers to discuss the latest research and treatment options for this devastating disease and advocate for mental health awareness. We discuss topics like the importance of creating a community of support to helping loved ones to some of the latest research on psychedelic medicines. The Addicted Mind podcast has been about creating hope, listening to stories of many amazing people that have overcome addiction and are thriving. If you or a loved one is struggling with addiction, subscribe to the Addicted Mind podcast wherever you get your podcasts or check out theaddictedmind.com. New episodes every Monday. See you there. Addiction impacts all of us. Addiction's consequences run through all of us. From ourselves to our loved ones and through our communities, addiction creates so much loss and grief. My name is Dwayne Osterlin, and I'm the host of the Addicted Mind podcast, a show featuring personal stories, expert guests, and vital information about addiction and addiction recovery. We'll talk with leading treatment providers to discuss the latest research and treatment options for this devastating disease and advocate for mental health awareness. We discuss topics like the importance of creating a community of support to helping loved ones to some of the latest research on psychedelic medicines. The Addicted Mind podcast has been about creating hope, listening to stories of many amazing people that have overcome addiction and are thriving. If you or a loved one is struggling with addiction, subscribe to the Addicted Mind podcast wherever you get your podcasts or check out theaddictedmind.com. New episodes every Monday. See you there. Addiction impacts all of us. Addiction's consequences run through all of us. From ourselves to our loved ones and through our communities, addiction creates so much loss and grief. My name is Dwayne Osterlin, and I'm the host of the Addicted Mind podcast, a show featuring personal stories, expert guests, and vital information about addiction and addiction recovery. We'll talk with leading treatment providers to discuss the latest research and treatment options for this devastating disease and advocate for mental health awareness. We discuss topics like the importance of creating a community of support, to helping loved ones, to some of the latest research on psychedelic medicines. The Addicted Mind podcast has been about creating hope, listening to stories of many amazing people that have overcome addiction and are thriving. If you or a loved one is struggling with addiction, subscribe to the Addicted Mind podcast wherever you get your podcasts, or check out theaddictedmind.com. New episodes every Monday. See you there.
It's easy to blame ourselves for our struggles with alcohol. We see people around us being able to control their drinking without any consequences, yet no matter what we try, we can't seem to figure it out for ourselves. My name is Jillian Tietz, and I am the host of the Sober Powered podcast, where I use my biochemistry background to explain the latest research in addiction and help you understand both why you drink the way you do and how to develop the skills and mindset you need to find freedom from alcohol. I discuss topics like why we think about our drinking 24/7, why we have no off switch, and why we crave alcohol. If you're struggling with your drinking or you know someone who is, then I hope that you will check out the Sober Powered podcast. New episodes every Friday. See you there. It's easy to blame ourselves for our struggles with alcohol. We see people around us being able to control their drinking without any consequences, yet no matter what we try, we can't seem to figure it out for ourselves. My name is Jillian Tietz, and I am the host of the Sober Powered podcast, where I use my biochemistry background to explain the latest research in addiction and help you understand both why you drink the way you do and how to develop the skills and mindset you need to find freedom from alcohol. I discuss topics like why we think about our drinking 24/7, why we have no off switch, and why we crave alcohol. If you're struggling with your drinking or you know someone who is, then I hope that you will check out the Sober Powered podcast. New episodes every Friday. See you there.